Oh, why India and China are never in the World Cup? Two of the biggest populations in the world and never in the World Cup. That's interesting. Let's watch.
48 countries played in the 2026 FIFA World Cup finals, 16 more than last time. That opened the door for some tiny countries, like Cape Verde,
Cabo
population
Verde.
500,000, and Curacao, population just 150,000. They made this World Cup feel like the biggest ever. They also made two absences, impossible to ignore. India has 1.5 billion people.
Damn. 1.5 billion? That's a lot of people.
China has 1.4 billion. That's about 9,000 times more people than Curacao. Yet neither found 11 good.
That's, oh my God, that's 3 billion people. That's like a third. Wait, how many people are there? There's like 8 billion people in the world. 3 billion, bro. That's almost half of the people in the world live in India and China.
Enough at football to qualify for the World Cup.
For heaven's sake, in India, 150,000 people is a medium-sized wedding party. That really hurts.
But the strangest part isn't that China and India aren't in this World Cup.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Let me guess. Okay, so is it that they don't have a footballing system that like enables young poor kids to be able to play at a higher level and like get that talent like built up, so they don't have the opportunity to like really build themselves up into like these great like leagues and sports and stuff like that? Maybe they just focus on something else. Let's see.
It's that they're never in the World Cup. China has just one appearance. India has 0. That's fewer than Wales,
One appearance. Damn. That's really bad from China. Holy shit.
Haiti, or even North Korea. You'll often hear that China and India simply don't prioritize football. They prefer and dominate other sports.
Yeah, that's what I've
And
heard
while
before.
that's partly true, I don't believe it lets them off the hook for the World Cup. Because according to the data, China has 200 million football fans.
200 million football fans? Holy shit, that's almost more than the population of the US entirely.
And India has 136 million. That's more than some countries who make the World Cup all the time. So the question isn't why aren't China and India interested in football? It's how come they can't turn a huge amount of interest into talent.
It's a matter of great frustration to me. There does not seem to be a sense of national outrage.
And what's possible if they could.
Football is the sport. China knows this.
I love Search Party. They make great videos. The elephant's not in the room.
Any country that wants to make the World Cup, let alone play well in it, has to turn its children into elite players. Pretty much all of them use a system shaped like a pyramid. At the foundation is the most basic necessity: space to play. Whether it's pristine grass pitches, a turf field, or a concrete lot with some goalposts, the more the better. Europe has more than 400,000 pitches.
Wow, that's a crazy map. That's a crazy density map. What the fuck? So wait, does Spain not have... Oh wait, no. I think the reason why Spain is like this, where they don't have a lot of people, a lot of football pitches, like in the actual land of itself, I think it's because there's a bunch of mountains like all over here. I think that's why Spain even has like a lower population than like France and stuff like that, because there's no place for people to live really.
That gives as many kids as possible a way to play, even casually. In the middle, there are organizations that keep kids playing as they age. That could be in school, in weekend games, or in academies. Further up are layers of football leagues. In England, there are more than 11 levels, ranging from semi-professional leagues all the way to the very professional $8 billion a year English
EPL.
Premier League. Ultimately, a pyramid should work like a conveyor belt, delivering talent to the national team.
I want to. This is interesting that he's breaking it down like a pyramid. I want to say, let me go back for a second.
Ultimately, a pyramid should work like a conveyor.
So in Australia, this is actually a very like highly debated topic as well. What are we missing as a nation of, like, we're a sporting nation. We love sports here, but we don't have, very high level soccer players or football players. If you're, European. The thing is, one, we have the space to play. You know, there's like football fields pretty much not everywhere, but there's a decent amount of football fields. Maybe we could have more and have them more available to, you know, underprivileged kids and all of that stuff. The main issue, the biggest issue, the development level. There is no way for kids to go up a development tree and have the ability to play on teams to be able to get better and better and better. Like, I know growing up, when I was at school, a lot of the kids that were there loved soccer the most. It was their favorite sport. They didn't give a shit about AFL. They didn't give a shit about basketball. They didn't give a shit about cricket. They didn't give a shit about rugby. They cared about football the most, soccer. But the problem was, if you wanted to play, you had to go and pay the teams to play. And just frankly, bro, if you're a bunch of kids who, you know, you're a bunch of immigrant kids, your family doesn't have a lot of money, you're not going to be able to afford the fees to buy, you know, to get in the team, first of all, to get the uniforms, and then also to ferry the children to the games every single different game that was happening, maybe at, you know, fucking like early in the morning, like 9 a.m. on a Saturday. You know, a parent doesn't want to, especially immigrant parent, doesn't want to do that shit, you know, and they don't have the ability to even do that for a lot of them. So it really locks a lot of kids out from being able to play. I'll say for myself, I played for a football team when I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old, and I was having fun and I was good. But when it came time to actually get to the like playing portion of it, the main issue was my family of like, it's a big family and there's a lot of kids to deal with and stuff. My parents didn't have time to, one, take me to games, or two, take me to training. And also on top of that, they didn't pay, they couldn't pay and afford for the fees and the uniform. The uniform was the main thing. It wasn't even the fees. They couldn't afford the uniform. So, you know, it was a bit of a while where I wasn't even able to get on a uniform. So I had to put on just a practice bib while we were doing like friendly games and stuff like that, not even in the league. But the main issue was nobody was able to take me to training, you know, and the training ground wasn't nearby where I lived. You had to drive there. I mean, I was a 14-year-old kid. I could have walked, but it would have taken me, you know, an hour to maybe like 30 minutes to an hour to walk there. So as a 13, 14-year-old kid, my parents were not comfortable me doing that. So that killed my entire, you know, soccer dreams. I didn't even have soccer dreams. I didn't even give a shit about soccer, but it was fun to go and play the sport and make friends there and everything like that. So that's just an anecdotal experience, but part of the reason why the shit just doesn't work really, and it's pay to play essentially.
Delivering talent to the national team, which plays at the World Cup. The most effective pyramids are wide at the bottom and virtually seamless all the way to the top.
Mm-hmm.
That allows prodigies like France's Kylian Mbappe to be spotted young and accelerated toward the national team. And for late bloomers like Germany's Deniz Undav to get a second chance. At 14, Undav was dropped from a club academy for being too small. While working in a factory, he kept playing in a low professional league, then slowly rose all the way to the national team. Without that low professional league, Undav might have quit. Instead, he was Germany's breakout star at this World Cup.
We also don't have any low professional leagues here in Australia. We have the A-League and bust, essentially. Like, if you want to, you can do I think it was like NPL in Sydney, but Melbourne is the heart of like sports in Australia. And maybe people are going to be calling me crazy for that, but Melbourne Logie is the heart of sports in Australia. So we don't really have any lower leagues or lower teams or any sort of infrastructure like that here in Australia, because even to like set up and run a team, it's like prohibitively costly to do something like that. Whereas in England, you would go into London and there's like maybe 50 teams in London, you know, from all different levels. We have the A-League teams here in Melbourne where we have like 4 A-League teams, but besides that, we don't have any like lower league teams, which is, I think, the biggest detriment. Like, I feel like people would want to go and watch live sports even at a lower level. There's no the federation doesn't allow for that because they just require so much payment to be going directly to them and so much upfront costs, which makes it impossible to do.
3 goals in the first 2 games. Now, India and China's problem isn't that they don't have football pyramids. It's that theirs don't look anything like this. And India's is in the worst shape. Running a business often means using one app for all trial, go to this link or use the key.
There was a time, before my time, in the 1950s, when India was a serious football playing country.
Bobby Ghosh writes about geopolitics and, when he can, football.
India was an Asian power. India
I like that Tintin statue. That's a cool statue. Is that a sign by Pele, like football? What the fuck?
made it to the semi-final stages in the Olympics. It was invited to participate in the World Cup. There are all kinds of legends around why it didn't go.
One held that FIFA wouldn't let India's team play barefoot. In reality, India preferred to focus on the Olympics. What India may not have realized is that it was passing on its best chance to play in a World Cup. In 1971, India beat its former colonizer, England, in cricket.
That's going to be it, giving India victory here in the Oval Test match.
The victory set off a wave of national pride that exploded a decade later when India became world champions.
Wait, is that why Indians love cricket so much? Is because they beat England in cricket and they were like, this is the greatest sport of all time. That's so
By
funny.
the 2000s, cricket was king, and India invested heavily in a cricket pyramid, while neglecting to build a football pyramid. At the bottom, there simply aren't enough ways for Indian kids to play. In its 2023 strategy documents, India's Football Association admits that there is relatively low participation because of irregular level of formal activities, lack of facilities, and not enough trained personnel. Countries in FIFA's top 100 typically have between 0.7 and 5 licensed coaches per 10,000 people. India has just 0.06.
I don't know what that means. Wait, the top 100 has 0.7 per 10,000 people. So every 10,000 people, you can have maybe one coach. But if you're in the top 20 or top 50, you have 3 coaches by 10,000 per 10,000 people. Oh, so you need more coaches. Damn, I guess. Who wants to be a coach though? Maybe that's on, like, maybe these countries just don't have people who are willing to be coaches while...
And 5 licensed coaches per 10,000 people.
Well, you want to be paid
India
to be a
has
coach.
just 0.06. Even the kids who start playing often run out of places to play. In 2023, there were less than 100 development clubs, according to the All India Football Federation. The very few players who make it into India's Super League have to deal with constant chaos.
When the AIFF put the Indian Super League's commercial rights up for sale, no one showed up.
No fixtures, no answers, only uncertainty.
Players
Wait, what? They put up the television rights and nobody wanted to buy it because there was no fixtures?
are begging, clubs are collapsing, Indian football is bleeding.
While the Pro League fights to survive, the national team is hamstrung by problems with its governing body. The All India Football Federation officials are constantly accused of corruption and harassment. In 2022, it was temporarily banned by FIFA.
Damn.
The result is
Damn, FIFA had to step in and ban it for corruption and harassment? That's how you know they were fucking crazy. Holy shit. If FIFA had to step in?
a messy patchwork of a pyramid that doesn't develop nearly enough talent to make a good national team. India's highest FIFA ranking in the past decade is 94th.
Damn. 94? There's like 116 countries. They got 94. That's
There is
fucking horrible.
one functioning part. In northeastern India, more people prefer football over cricket. And they've built their own mini pyramid with the bottom, middle, and top. As a result, Northeast India often supplies almost half of the players on the national team.
Oh, wow.
But India needs more than one region to make the World Cup. India started qualification with a win over Kuwait, but was eliminated after losing to Afghanistan at home. Bobby's concerned how little outrage it caused.
The same 6 people and their dog, myself included, who agonize about this every 4 years are agonizing about it again. I've not detected anything to suggest that a larger group of people are upset.
The decades of disappointment seems to have stuck Indian football in a vicious cycle.
Not enough people are interested enough for a politician to care. And because a politician doesn't care, there's not going to be a change. And because there's not going to be a change, people are not going to care.
Damn.
But while India isn't trying
Vicious
hard
cycle.
enough to get better at football, China's trying too hard. Xi Jinping loves football. While climbing the Communist Party ranks, he was pictured playing football. collecting jerseys, and he often expressed 3 wishes for his country.
Wait, trying too hard. Let me see if I can figure out what that means. They're just investing a bunch of money, and because they're putting all that money in there, there's like a load of corruption and a load of like financial unfairness, and the different leagues are not cooperating with each other because they're all competing for the money rather than trying to make the best program.
1. Qualify for the World Cup. 2. Host the World Cup. 3. Win the World Cup. That made Xi a powerful ambassador for what seemed like the only sport China wasn't good at. For decades, the party identified and controlled young athletes' development. The top-down approach turned out champion divers, gymnasts, and table tennis players. But
Wait, yeah. So if they're doing it top down, they're not getting talent from like the bottom of society, which is where you get the best talent, because there's kids who, it's not something that you can like make. It's not something you can like genetically create a fucking great soccer player. I mean, you could try, but if you're able to do that, America would have done it. China is also trying to do that same shit, but it's just allowing more competition to foster from the lower levels to like build up. So that's why they're fucking up.
a very good football team.
Football has to be a grassroots sport, which means bottoms up.
Journalist Mark Dreyer wrote Sporting Superpower after more than a decade covering Chinese sports.
If you think about a diver who wins Olympic gold, they want to be able to do the exact same dive again and again and again with absolutely no difference between the dives. If you think about a football player who does the same move again and again and again, they very quickly become pretty easy to defend against. So you need creativity, you need flair, you need the opposite skills.
China's men's football team failed to make a World Cup until 2002. It scored 0 goals and conceded 9.
Damn.
A humiliation that Xi was
Holy
determined
shit.
to redeem once he became China's leader. In 2015, his government released a master plan that said all the right things. China would build its pyramid starting at the bottom. It pledged to build 70,000 pitches, 20,000
Wow.
training centers, and get 30 million children playing football regularly in school. It promised to strengthen the middle with academies and advanced leagues, and at the top, help turn the Chinese Super League into one of the world's best. It encouraged corporations to buy Super League clubs and sign stars that would theoretically improve the competition. The ensuing spending spree made even Europe break a sweat.
Chinese teams spent more in the first 2 months of the year than the top Italian, French, German, and Spanish leagues combined.
Holy, wait. Run that back.
2 months of the year than the top Italian,
First 2 months of the year, they spent more than Italian,
French,
French,
and Spanish
German,
leagues
and Spanish.
combined.
Holy shit. They spent more than the Italian, French, German, and Spanish leagues in the first 2 months combined. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking insane.
Real Madrid, PSG, and Chelsea are no longer the hunters, but instead have become the prey.
China's master plan looked great on paper until it crashed into reality. Millions of young kids started playing football, but most had to stop once they became teenagers. Preparing
Because they
for
were
China's
focusing
very
on
rigorous
schools.
Gaokao exam left little room for sports. It left a huge gap that prevented all but the very best from rising into the development programs. There, they were subject to relentless drilling that didn't make them great football players, no matter how hard the state tried.
Doesn't have the patience for implementation. How can we turbocharge this? How can we shorten the time? The answer is you can't, but that's not an answer that they want to hear.
Then the lucky few to reach the Super League faced constant dysfunction. First, China postponed the season when COVID-19 hit. Then a real estate crisis crippled owners' finances.
So wait, they just try to blue lock it. They try to make it like blue lock, but they try to like funnel all of the best like strikers to like one academy and then just fucking like generate some like good players. But the greatness and the creativity comes from when they're kids. But by the time they're able to build on that creativity with their physical prowess and their bodies and stuff like that, they're all focused on going to be like a fucking engineer or scientist or whatever. I mean, you kind of have it both ways, I guess.
And eventually caused several Super League clubs to fold. When things couldn't get any worse, a match-fixing scandal erupted.
The former head of China's Football Association being given life sentence for taking bribes.
Damn, life sentence. That's fucking crazy.
has handed lifetime bans to 73 people for match fixing.
The reputation of the league is being tarnished, an own goal for Xi Jinping's Great Dream.
To make matters even worse, the party divided the pyramid between political bodies and every few years assigned new leaders, regardless of experience. Like the one who told Mark the national team's problem was pulling players from rival Super League clubs.
And I'm thinking, well, yes, that's just how it works, how it works all over the world. But this guy was thinking like, oh, I've got a brainwave. And I looked up his background. This guy had recently been promoted from the sewage and waterworks treatment department.
So he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He's just like, yeah, the main reason is because we're hiring fucking big players from other leagues and stuff like that to compete.
Non-footballing people making footballing decisions.
China tried to engineer a football pyramid from the top down and ended up starving its national team of talent. By 2026, it was ranked 91st in the world and failed
91st
to make another World Cup. China was eliminated by Indonesia. Obviously, China's a long way from winning a World Cup, but Xi Jinping seems to have also abandoned his dream of hosting one.
I think that the calculus from the senior leadership is that any soft power benefits from hosting the World Cup would be severely outweighed by the humiliating performance by the national team on the pitch. And so they figure, well, we don't want to do that.
Neither China or India are investing in the resources or time needed to make the World Cup. But why aren't they using a shortcut?
Why aren't they getting a bunch of people from smaller nations, making them citizens of the country, like Balogun, and then just putting there? Why aren't they doing
Cape
that?
Verde and Curacao didn't make the World Cup with only native-born players. Both recruited foreign-born players whose parents and grandparents were native-born, something FIFA has allowed for decades. 15 of Cape Verde's 26 players were born abroad, as were 25 of Curaçao's.
Damn.
These players lifted their teams through qualifying and, for Cape Verde, into the knockout rounds. India and China also have diasporas, big ones, but neither is recruiting many players from them. One reason is citizenship. While Cape Verde and Curaçao allowed their players to keep their original citizenships, China and India require players to become solely Indian or Chinese citizens. That's something few are willing to do, especially while China and India's teams are terrible. Back in the 2010s, China convinced some Brazilian-born players to switch, but they didn't make a difference on the national team.
I think, honestly, the problems run much, much deeper than that, and it wouldn't be fair to expect a couple of foreigners to come in and suddenly turn things around.
India is leaving more talent on the table, especially in Europe. There are several players on European clubs that are eligible to play for India's national team under FIFA's rules.
Wow, and they're just saying you can't because you have to be a full Indian citizen. That's fucking crazy.
But until India's government changes its rules, they can't.
If you ask people for an explanation, you don't really get a good one. There's a lot of hemming and hawing, and eventually what it comes down to, well, it's always been this way. It makes no sense.
That could change if the government passes a proposal to create a sports passport that would allow dual nationals to represent India. A few foreign players won't turn India into a World Cup contenders overnight, but it could lead to a surprise win.
It might be able to give them a chance, and same how they won.
And India knows
cricket.
better than any country what a surprise win can do for a sport.
Success breeds success and breeds more interest. I think something similar needs to happen with football.
If there's anything I've learned from this World Cup, it's that the rest of the world is getting better. A lot better. Tiny countries took on giants and held their own. They used this World Cup to get on the map and gain the kind of soft power that goes beyond football. So it's strange to see two rising superpowers miss out on all that because of their governments. India's government has to realize what a difference a little change can make.
India wants a permanent place in the Security Council. India wants to host the Olympics. India wants to be counted among the world powers. Being good at football, on top of all the other things that India has to offer, would be a cherry on the cake.
And China's government needs to gain a little patience and give up a little control.
I personally think it would be fantastic for China, but without China changing its system, it's not going to be able to allow this grassroots system to flourish. And China's not going to change its system.
I feel like if China lets the grassroots thing like flourish a little bit, their organization on the higher levels would make them dominate in an incredible way. I feel like they would just completely dominate if they allowed the grassroots situation to come up and, you know, build up a little bit. But they're too like control focused. They don't want to do that shit.
On the bright side, China and India are closer than they think to a World Cup. They have the manpower and more than enough interest. All right, thanks so much for watching.
Great video. Wonderful video. I'm actually glad that I watched that because it was pretty big inside. I mean, the World Cup finals happening tonight. So I'm about to see if Spain or Argentina becomes the next World Cup finalists, the World Cup winners. So it's great to hear a little bit of, you know, explanation on what's going on with India and China, because, you know, something very similar is happening here in Australia. I mean, like a lot of people love football. A lot of the diaspora that moves from like Africa and India and Asia, a lot of them that come here, Colombia, a lot of them that come here and live here. We love it. We love the game. It's so prohibitive from us to be able to like even build up. But it would be such a great cultural, you know, export and a cultural movement here in Australia. Irakunda, Nessery Irakunda, he scored that goal. I saw him on fucking Commonwealth Bank ads in the middle of Swanston Street. I was like, damn, that's crazy. And, you know, in the midst of this whole One Nation thing that's going on, it'd be awesome if we have more representation in sports, especially in soccer, and show, you know, the value that we can bring and, you know, the culture that we have here in Australia. But yeah, great video. I love that. I'll always love Search Party. If you haven't already, go and check out their video, because I mean, I'm a nobody, but I would always love to show love. So go and check out the video. But if you haven't already as well, like and subscribe my video, like my video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be dropping more videos. So if you like this and you like my commentary and shit, just drop me a follow. It does a lot. Drop me a like, hit something in the comments. Like, let's start up a discussion. It does a lot, bro. And I'm gonna be responding to everybody who puts something in the comments. I will respond to every single one of you. So peace out and thank you for watching.